ういうやつだよな、お前は。ヒーローがマントを羽織るのは痛くて辛くて苦しんでる女の子を包んであげるためだ。
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 My Hero Academia fights.
自業自得だ。
Number 20, Bakugo vs Todoroki. Pretty sure that the only people who weren't thrilled by the sports festival finale were the actual finalists. For everyone else, this frozen firework fest was pretty damn epic. Internally conflicted following his victory over Deku, Todoroki refuses to unleash the full force of his quirk, which, as you can imagine, slightly aggravates the already ill-tempered Bakugo. Despite managing to pull off a win thanks to the biggest explosion ever, Bakugo can't help but feel cheated. Not hard to see why. After all, Todoroki gave Deku everything. Number 19, Mirio vs Class 1A. And this is why you should always show respect to your seniors. You never know when one might strip naked and punch you in the guts. Okay, maybe that is kind of rare. As arguably the strongest student attending UA High, the always cheerful Mirio decided to show the heroes of tomorrow the staggering difference in their power. With but a single strike, Mirio takes out every member of the class, giving them a little taste of how strong a person can become after a little bit of experience. Number 18, Uraraka vs Bakugo. Most would flinch at the idea of facing off against the guy who can reenact Apocalypse Now with his bare hands, but not this cinnamon roll. Inspired by Deku's courage and fueled by the desire to aid her family in their time of crisis, Uraraka takes on the full force of Bakugo's explosions, one after the other. It's a true test of endurance, and while it looked like Uraraka might have clenched the win when she made it rain freaking meteors, she just couldn't cross that final hurdle. Number 17, Deku and Bakugo vs All Might. They say you should never meet your heroes, but then again, those people didn't have to actually fight them. As part of their final exam, our two favorite costumed rivals find themselves facing off against their idol in order to pass. Things are made infinitely more complicated due to Deku and Kachan's inability to see eye to eye. However, desperation has a strange way of forcing cooperation, as the two somehow manage to work together in order to get the better of All Might, scoring another win for the books. This battle also serves as a stepping stone for Bakugo, who was given a harsh lesson in how not everything can be solved with explosions. Well, most of the time. Number 16, Miriko vs the High Ends. Doesn't matter if it's against one foe or several, this battle-hungry bunny will take on any enemy to complete her duty. After tracking down All for One's faithful servant Dr. Garaki, Miriko quickly finds herself in a life-or-death battle against the Mad Doctor's deadliest creations, the High-End Nomu. With a ferocity that contradicts the nature of her quirk, this badass bunny girl single-handedly takes on the high ends. Even when they slowly start to overwhelm her, Mirko refuses to just quit and powers through the high ends lethal blows, sacrificing her own body to see her mission through. With such an intense drive and willpower, it's no wonder Mirko became one of the top 5 heroes. Number 15, Deku vs Lady Nagant. Deku's newfound mastery of One for All is put to the test when he takes on Japan's greatest sniper. Hired by All for One to capture Deku, the former pro hero Lady Nagant proves quite the troublesome foe. Along with her unparalleled marksmanship, Lady Nagant's arsenal also includes Airwalk, a second quirk granted to her by All for One that greatly boosts her mobility, allowing her to stay one step ahead of Deku, even with his superior speed. In the end, Lady Nagant underestimates Deku's abilities and altruistic nature as he uses the power of Foe 100% to end their fight with a single high-velocity blow. It's a shame that All for One's interference turned this victory into a tragedy. Number 14, Shigaraki vs Redestro. In a battle between two villains driven by extreme goals, the more dangerous villain always comes out on top. As the League of Villains wage war against the Meta Liberation Army, Shigaraki confronts the rebel group's leader in a battle that pits the legacy of Destro against All for One's successor. At first, Shigaraki experiences a one-sided beating as he is powerless to stop Redestro from tossing him around like a ragdoll. It isn't until Shigaraki conquers his traumatic past and experiences his own plus ultra moments that he unlocks his quirk's true potential. Fully embracing his desire for destruction, he unleashes a devastating counterattack that puts the fear of evil into Redestro and his army. Number 13, Deku vs Gentle Criminal. Who knew a fight over a school festival could get so intense? After a chance encounter with the elusive Gentle Criminal, Deku ends up fighting him after the latter reveals his goal of infiltrating UA's culture festival. Although not as nefarious as some of the other villains he's faced, Deku refuses to let Gentle's plan succeed as the hopes of so many people were relying on the festival's success. With neither side willing to back down, Deku and Gentle engage in a clash of fists and ideals that pushes both fighters to their limits. Considering how easily Deku could have become like Gentle, it's no wonder he considers their battle to be his toughest up until that point. Number 12, Eraserhead vs Villains. Although he tends to avoid the spotlight, Eraserhead's reputation easily inspires fear and respect in both heroes and villains alike. When the League of Villains invade UA's training facility, he does not hesitate to jump into battle alone to protect the future generation of heroes. Despite being outnumbered 10-1, Eraserhead makes quick work of the League's thugs thanks to his fearsome fighting skills and his ability to nullify quirks with a glance. Although he eventually meets his match against the terrifying Nomu, Eraserhead still fights through unimaginable pain to ensure his students' safety. His resilience and fighting abilities are so legendary that even Shigaraki, who despises hero society, can't help but praise him.
かっこいいな。かっこいいな。
Number 11, Red Riot and Fat Gum vs Rapper and Tengai. Although he may not be the series' main protagonist, you'd best not underestimate the power and chivalry of Kirishima, aka Red Riot. While raiding the Yakuza group's compound, both Kirishima and his pro-hero mentor Fat Gum eventually find themselves locked in battle with members Rapper and Tengai. Along with Tengai's barrier quirk blocking their every attack, the heroes barely survive Rapper's punches, which shatter even Kirishima's unbreakable. Despite the blow to his pride, Kirishima makes an epic comeback and hardens his resolve as he tanks the barrage of Rapper's deadly punches. Thanks to his efforts, he buys Fat Gum enough time to counterattack with his own ultimate move, defeating their opponents and demonstrating the superiority of their own spear and shield combo. Number 10, Deku vs Class A. Sometimes the most intense battles aren't about beating the villain, but getting the hero to stand down.
やるぞ諸君。
After pushing himself to his limits hunting down Shigaraki and All For One, Deku faces an even bigger challenge when he's forced to confront his friends from Class A who refuse to let him fight alone. Despite Deku's best efforts to resist, his classmates' perseverance and empathy slowly tears away at his emotional armor. In the end, the only one who breaks through to Deku is none other than his rival Bakugo, who stops him with something even stronger than his explosions, the honest truth. After all Deku's done to help his friends, it's pretty amazing to see the lengths Class A will go to return the favor. Number 9, All Might vs Nomu. Our first real example of why All Might truly is the pillar of the superhuman community. This clash against the likes of the monstrous amalgamation known as Nomu was the perfect way to see out the first season. And by that, we mean watch the two of them punch the ever-loving crap out of each other. Despite running on fumes, All Might manages to push himself back from the brink and snatch victory from Nomu's hideous jaws. Who knew going plus ultra involved delivering a strike that could send someone flying into the stratosphere? Number 8, Deku vs Muscular. Being a hero means willing to make sacrifices, even if that means nearly getting both your arms broken into bloody chunks while a villainous pile of flesh tries to crush you. Or maybe that's just Deku. Determined to protect Koda from his parents' murderer, Deku pushes himself further than ever before, willing to let his own quirk cripple him in order to save his young charge from harm. Now that we think about it, Muscular really didn't stand much of a chance. The sight of Deku screaming in both pain and triumph still makes us choke up. Number 7, Deku, Todoroki, and Ida vs. Stain. The bloody crusade of the hero killer Stain served as a brutal reminder to our heroes that the society they lived in was not all clear-cut.
インゲニウムお前を倒すヒーローの名だそうか
After his brother is grievously injured during one of Stain's quests to wipe out all so-called pretenders, Ida sets out to take his revenge, only to find himself grossly outmatched thanks to Stain's ability to immobilize his victims by ingesting their blood.
体が動かない
It may have looked like curtains, but thankfully, Deku and Todoroki managed to leap in at the last second to even out the playing field. Stain's blood scythe and fancy knife work may have been nothing to sneer at, but even he couldn't withstand a Class 1A combo.
行け
Number 6, Deku vs. Overhaul. Watching Midoriya go plus ultra and risk everything in his battle against Overhaul was without a doubt one of the series' most inspiring moments. However, it's also a precursor to an even greater moment, Deku's final clash with Overhaul. With a little help from Eri's quick rewind, Deku manages to draw out the full power of One for All without fear of causing permanent damage to himself.
One for all フルカウル 100%!
Even when Overhaul turns himself into a full-blown monster, the Yakuza is powerless in the face of Deku's unrestrained might. With stunning animation, Deku unleashes a heaping dose of karma against Overhaul for all the pain he inflicted on Eri, and smashes his dark ambition to pieces. Number 5, Deku vs. Bakugo, Round 2. It was the rematch we were all waiting for, and it turned out to be more emotionally poignant than any of us were prepared for. After finally figuring out that Deku's power came from All Might, Bakugo challenges his rival to a second showdown. No holds barred, winner takes all.
勝利の権化である君に勝ちたい
Not only is the fight an exquisite sight to behold from a visual standpoint, but a perfect showcase for the two's newfound maturity as both human beings and heroes. We dare you to not feel an inkling of pride for Bakugo after you see him finally accept his new reality as Deku's equal. They grow up so fast.
お前一番強い人にレール敷いてもらって負けてんなよ
Number 4, Deku vs. Todoroki. Now this is what makes tournament arcs all worthwhile. Determined to make him embrace all aspects of his quirk, Deku went all out in order to push Todoroki to his absolute limits. Inspired by his opponent's unwavering desire to become a hero, the scarred bad boy finally relents, paving the way for his twin elements to take on the full force of One for All. The fight is utterly jaw-dropping, all held together by Deku's innate ability to inspire people to be the best they can be, while simultaneously beating the crap out of them. Number 3, Endeavor vs. Hood. He may not have been the hero they wanted, but at least he's determined to become the hero he needs to be. After being attacked by the high-end Nomu Hood, Endeavor wastes no time in retaliating. Unfortunately, Endeavor soon learns that incinerating his opponents is much easier said than done. with enough strength to clear through a building and regenerate from the deadliest attacks. Hood proves to be more than a match for Endeavor and his Hell Flames. As Hood gradually overwhelms him, Endeavor begrudgingly calls upon his own plus ultra moments to surpass his limits and perform one last all-out attack. Burning with the intensity of a small sun, Endeavor vaporizes Hood and leaves quite the impression as the new #1 hero. Number 2, Deku and Heroes vs Shigaraki. If you thought the original All for One was terrifying, his successor is a whole other breed of evil, especially when he destroys entire cities with a single touch. As the newly resurrected symbol of fear begins his rampage, the remaining heroes rally together in a desperate attempt to bring him down. Unfortunately, even when outnumbered and having his powers suppressed, Shigaraki's enhanced physical strength still made him virtually unstoppable. Regardless of raging infernos, devastating explosions, and even several strikes from One for All at full strength, none of the hero's best efforts can deter Shigaraki from making his twisted dream a reality. Hard to imagine that this legendary brawl is merely the prologue to an even greater final clash. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, All Might vs All for One. Take the classic concept of good versus evil, inject it with some top-tier animation, make the whole thing a swan song for a much-beloved character, and what do you get? Quite possibly one of the most awesome battles in modern anime. Once again thrown into a confrontation with his nemesis All for One, All Might is given no choice but to use every last ember of his quirk to win the day against the League of Villains' head honcho. It's a breathtaking spectacle, one perfectly fitting the symbol of peace's last stand. Remember, when you throw down with All Might, he won't just punch you, he'll drop an entire metaphorical country on you. United, Which My Hero Academia fight do you think went beyond plus ultra? Let us know in those comments below. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.